All right, thanks so much, Denise. Well, 2014 has been called the year of the data breach, but 2015 shaping up to be even worse. The IRS now saying hackers have stolen the personal tax information of more than 100,000 people. Fox 19 Now's tech expert Dave Hatter here to break down the breach. So what do we know about this so far? Because this is all pretty fresh, just seeing a lot of the information coming out Tuesday.
This story's brand new, and basically the IRS has a service called Get Transcript, which you as an individual can use to get like previous tax information and information that you filed in the past. So it's not their online tax system, but it does present an opportunity for hackers to get a lot of information about you. And what it looks like is happening is they're breaking into the system, they're getting your information, and then they're filing fraudulent tax returns so they can get refunds as a result of that. So it's pretty nasty.
What do we know about who may be behind this so far?
Well, right now the IRS has indicated that they think it's really like organized crime, possibly offshore. I don't think they know for sure. I'm not entirely convinced that's true, because when you look at the process to log into this thing, you certainly would not have to be a real criminal to do this. But it seems like it is pretty organized and a high-level attack. I mean, to get 100,000 of it's not someone sitting in their basement doing one at a time. It's a much more systematic type of attack.
Right. I know we reported earlier that it just came up that they were saying it may be people in Russia, hackers in Russia. Once they have that information, what are they able to do?
Well, it's unfortunately kind of a two-pronged thing. It looks like the main goal is to go back, because they've had over 200,000 attacks they could identify. About 100,000 of them were successful, so they're filing fraudulent tax returns and then collecting that money. So, you know, if they have your information, they can file a tax return as you, but direct it to an account somewhere else and get that money. But the second part of this, once they have all that additional treasure trove of information they could get about you from the IRS, even if they can't get to the fraudulent refund, they can take that information and try to use it elsewhere. Get a loan, set up a credit card, do who knows what with that, because I mean, they've got some really sensitive information about you, where you work, what your social security number is, where you live, how much you make, all kinds of information that could be used to perpetrate any kind of identity fraud, whether it's with the IRS or not. So it's pretty nasty.
And there's a market out there for, even if they don't want it, they can sell that information.
Well, that's a really good point, Megan. I think that's where a lot of people misunderstand how significant these kind of problems are, because, yeah, even if they can't use your information right now, they'll sell it to someone else. All this gets aggregated, and there's something called the dark net or the dark web where people sell this information, and it's surprisingly cheap. And because of things like social media, people are putting all kinds of information in about themselves. It can all be aggregated and collated and then used for these kind of attacks, because this Get Transcript system requires a bunch of information from you to log in, like your social security number, name, and address. And then it asks you a series of questions that, in theory, only you would know. Okay. But if someone has built up essentially an online dossier of information about you, they might be able to answer those questions, and that's how they're hacking into the system, it looks like.
And I think we're kind of getting to the end here, but quickly, I know you said there's really no way you can avoid this. You've got to give the government your information, but at the same time, you can't protect yourself on social media.
Yeah, to some degree, the less information you put out there that could be sensitive information, like where you've lived before, phone numbers, that kind of thing, the better, because that potentially can get put into this data and used against you. And then also, of course, strong passwords. Any kind of system you use where you have to log in, if it requires a password, you need something that's a combination of symbols, letters, numbers, something that's a phrase, not a word, something that's not easily guessed about you, because that also will limit the ability to hack.
All right, thanks so much, Dave Hatter. We always appreciate your wealth of knowledge. Stay with us, Fox 19.